Hello friends, welcome back if you have been a visitor to my channel before, and welcome if this is your first time viewing one of my rambling videos. My name is Stephanie Lynn, and I'm going to ramble for about 20 minutes or so about my thoughts on specifically today teaching middle school. Again, hoping that someone out there can find a little bit of support from these videos and stay in the teaching profession just a little bit longer. I actually do get asked a lot why I teach middle school instead of high school. I spent probably half of my career, almost 12 years, 15 years, teaching high school. Life science, biology, chemistry, a little bit of physics, physical science at the high school level. And I transitioned to middle school fully and completely about 10 years ago. I had been teaching mixtures of middle school and high school classes before then, but I found out that middle school is actually where my heart is. As crazy as middle school can be, they really are just a special group. If you're thinking about teaching middle school, you need to recognize the truth of the environment. You are not going to be dealing with rational human beings. You will be dealing with organisms who are sleep deprived and their brains have been shut off to increase their likelihood of taking chances and learning new things. This does mean that they do things that you don't know why they would do them. They are hyped up on sugar, and everything is life or death to them. There are no small events, there are no small emotions, and there are no small reactions. So, if you are interested in middle school, welcome for the ride. Middle schoolers really are just a bundle of opposing forces. And when you think about teaching them, you need to keep that in mind. They are highly intelligent. They are capable of so much more than a lot of the middle school curriculum asks of them. But emotionally, they really are still elementary school students. Like I said, their hormones are kicking on and everything is a first time for them to experience that. They're starting to have their first boyfriend, girlfriend. They're starting to care more about their grades because they see something as a future, not just a dream of, oh, I'm going to be a vet, or I am going to ride a racehorse, or I'm going to be an Olympic gymnast. The dreams that elementary school has. But these become more solid. Dreams that they look at as actually possibly coming true. And this means that the failures, instead of them taking them as learning experiences, can actually be taken internally as I am a failure. Not, you didn't do well on this worksheet, let's go over it, but, oh my goodness, I'm so stupid. This is when a lot of the young girls decide they're no good at math, even though they are very good at math. They are such perfectionists that if they get one or two things wrong, they decide they can't do it at all. And in middle school, we really need to make sure that we are constantly reinforcing that a grade on a sheet of paper in no way reflects on who you are as a person. Who you are as a person is so much more. And yes, you are good at math. You may not have done well on this worksheet. That's okay. You only learned it yesterday. If you knew everything, you wouldn't be in this class, you would be in the next class. So in middle school, you do have to be very careful how you provide support. You don't want to tell them that something is hard, because then they'll think they can't do it. You can say it's challenging. You can say it is something, a way of thinking you've never thought before, so it is new for you. But you don't want to tell them that this topic is hard. That gives them an out. That gives them the opportunity to say, well, it's hard and I'm no good at it, and so I'll never be able to do it. As a middle school teacher, it is your job to maintain their confidence or to grow their confidence. Some of them have already had it stamped out of them in elementary school. I will get young girls in my physical science class in 8th grade who have already determined they can't do math. And they're actually very good at it. But getting them to even try is difficult because they have been convinced over the years, by who I don't know, that they're no good in math. So one of the main things middle school teachers are cheerleaders. Okay, we need to be challenging to them. We have to set a curriculum and a course that challenges them to do things outside of their comfort zone. And we are there to encourage them that they can do that and that they can be successful. And if they fail, it's okay. Learn from it, figure out what went wrong, and move on. It's not a life-altering event if you don't do well on a worksheet or if you don't do well on a test. None of that is life-altering. They have enough life-altering things going on. Okay, we are there to challenge them. We are there to support them. We are their cheerleaders. We are building up that self-confidence. So if you think about teaching middle school, you need to make sure that you pick your words very carefully and never, ever tell a student that something is hard. Challenge them. Say this is out of your comfort zone, but you can do it. You, as a middle school teacher, need to be that cheerleader for them. Another thing you need to think about if you were considering being a middle school teacher, you need to be able to, with a straight face and with complete honesty, answer some of the strangest questions you will ever hear. And as a middle school science teacher, I get some doozies, most of which I can't repeat on YouTube because I will probably get banned for it. Middle school kids are curious. Luckily, we have a very good health department to talk about some of the questions that the kids ask. Our health teacher is amazing. But when I talk about genetics, I do talk about sexual reproduction and the X and Y chromosomes and the different hormones and the things that happen in a human body. All of those are covered. So I get questions about that, and I make sure that I answer them at a level for middle school. I don't go into extreme detail for anything, and a lot, if it applies to what they'll be covering in health, I make sure that I let the health teacher know that these kids are asking about it. But you also get some very off-the-wall questions, and they truly are curious about it. As a science teacher, everyone always wants to know why you can't mix chlorine, bleach, and ammonia, and I try and tell them without making it sound like they need to go home and try it. I talk about the safety. I talk about what could happen if you use chemicals to clean a bathroom that aren't compatible. There are also other strange characteristics. So when you have hall duty, you'll have students come up and talk to you, and they really just want to connect. They may ask you if you saw their game the night before, or what you think of their new shoes. They may want to tell you about a new puppy they've got, or they may need to tell you about a puppy or a dog that they had to put down the night before. They need somebody to talk to, and somebody who's not necessarily their friend or their parent. And being able to have those conversations and actually listening to them. Make sure when they are talking to you, you are looking at them. And I always, if a student comes up and tries to interrupt me when I'm talking to somebody else, I will tell them, no, this student is talking first, and when they're done, then I can talk to you. They need to have that recognition, because some of them don't ever get it. And to actually be seen by an adult or by another person can be huge in their lives, especially in middle school, when their confidence is just hitting the floor. Like I said, the hormones are just going crazy. And they'll do stupid things. And you'll ask them, what were you thinking when you did that? And if they say nothing, they actually were probably not thinking about anything. They were just doing it. So make sure that they can talk to you. Make sure you talk to them. Make sure you see them and they know they are seen. Because in a middle school environment, too many of our students get by hiding. And that's really no way to learn how to interact, especially when in today's society so many people can hide behind keyboards. That one-on-one conversation, that connection with a human is really important. So make sure if you're choosing middle school or really any age for this, make sure you are connecting with your students. Something you may not necessarily think about when you are thinking about teaching in middle school are the unique smells that come along with our students. The wondrous odor of Axe body spray that has been copiously sprayed throughout the hallway that will make your eyes water, yes. That, along with when they come to your class right after having PE and they haven't showered. And middle schoolers don't really use deodorant that much. They don't seem to notice, but other people do. And we love them anyway. The farts. Oh my goodness. Most of them are on purpose. And I have said before in a couple of other videos, I had a student that I actually had to threaten to write up if he farted in my classroom again. I was absent one of the days, and I actually wrote on the subplans, if this student farts, let me know and I will write him up. I kept a bottle of Odoban underneath my desk, and the students would borrow it about once a week. Now, they actually haven't used it yet this year, which makes me wonder. I'm quite impressed, but yes, definitely buy Odoban, keep it next to your desk, because that will come in handy. The students who are practicing with perfume, the students who are trying new makeup, the students who change their hairstyle. Okay. Again, all of this is new. A lot of it is for attention, and sometimes that need for attention can get carried too far, such as, farting in class because people laugh. There needs to be some education as far as what is appropriate social behavior, what is acceptable, and not just for the student who is, for example, doing the farting, but for the classmates who are egging the student on by laughing. They are providing positive feedback. Therefore, the student is going to continue farting in class. Students can learn that they are responsible for the continued actions of students that they may not necessarily approve of. If they are giving that feedback, if they are giving the student who is doing that action some sort of feedback that fills that student's need, they are going to continue doing that, whether it be, farting in class, interrupting, constantly cracking semi-rude jokes or downright rude jokes, picking on people. Peer pressure can be a horrible thing. Peer pressure can absolutely be horrible, but it also can be used for good. If a class decides that an action is not appropriate and they don't give people the feedback they crave by doing that action, that student will stop doing the action. And when you let your students know they have that power, that actually can become an amazing thing to see how they take control of the culture of their class and how they grow into leaders, even quiet leaders. It is something that's really amazing to watch. The last thing I'm going to talk about today is that as much as we love our students and as much as we try and connect with them and be there for them, we cannot take their actions or reactions personally. It doesn't matter how much they might love you as a teacher and as a person, they will look you in the eye and lie to your face. You can ask them about that worksheet that they haven't turned in, and they will say, "Oh, I left it on my desk at home. I've only got another 1 or 2 problems left and I'll finish it tonight." However, if you actually ask them to pull out their notebook, you will find that worksheet in there and they have done nothing on it. That doesn't mean they don't like you. That doesn't mean they don't respect you as a teacher. That means they are normal middle schoolers. And they are learning how to push boundaries, learning how far they can go as far as the various actions go. What can they get away with? And again, this is something that we don't necessarily like, but it is that part of learning where they are learning their place in society. What is socially acceptable? And so as a middle school teacher, in some ways, you have to have a very tough skin because those little darlings will lie to you, and they are very good at it. Some of them are not, but some of them are very good. And you also have to have a tough skin because some of their parents will believe every word that they say, and you will get some very blunt emails from parents who don't really seem to see their child that clearly. And again, that is not something you should take personally. That is something you should expect. You will have emails from parents, you'll have meetings with parents, you will have to call parents, and they see their child in a certain light, whereas you see the child interacting with other students and other teachers, and it may not be the same image. We are all multidimensional. We all have parts of our personality that we show to different groups of people. And that's okay. That actually is the way it's supposed to be. But you as a teacher do need to recognize that you can't take things personally. You can also teach the student that it's not okay to lie. There needs to be some kind of repercussion for doing that. But give them the opportunity to grow. Give them the opportunity to see, okay, if you had told the truth, this is what would have happened. Okay, instead, I got this, so I'm going to have to do this. And show them that there's not a benefit The honesty is the better route to go. And that, I think, even more than elementary school. In middle school is one of the main, along with being their cheerleader and, working on their confidence, you are also working on their honesty. Because in elementary school, they may not necessarily know the extent of their lie, but in middle school, they do. There is a self-awareness and an awareness of society in general that helps them understand exactly what they're doing. And they are, like I said, pushing boundaries, figuring out what is acceptable. And at school, we need to show them, as far as society goes, what is and isn't acceptable. And hopefully they can learn that lesson without it being too painful. So I've rambled on for a while about the joys and challenges of teaching middle school. They are my favorite age group to teach, in spite of all of the challenges that come along with it. I think that they are an amazing age group to teach, and I think that they deserve amazing teachers. And I hope that people do consider teaching middle school, seeing what it's like, accepting the challenges, and taking advantage of the opportunity to help influence students when their brains are growing so much. Again, the hormones are turned on, their bodies are changing, their passions are changing, they're becoming interested in new topics. You can really influence them as far as letting them know they're good at something and throwing the doors wide open to all of these careers they've never thought of before. And middle school really is the time to do that. Kind of in high school, it's a little too late. But middle school, they still have time to latch onto that dream. And I hope that this has piqued your interest for middle school, if it hasn't scared you off. They are amazing students to teach. They are challenging. It is stressful. You are constantly on high alert, trying to stop things before they start. You are looking at interactions between students. Who was friends yesterday but they're not friends today? Who just walked past the hall and, gave somebody a dirty look? Or who's hiding by their locker, looking very sad, and you want to check in with them? You are constantly reading every student and letting them know that you see them. And that is a rewarding thing, especially in today's educational department, where there's not a lot of rewarding stuff for teachers to latch onto. So thank you if you've made it this far. If you have found this video helpful, please like and subscribe, share with your friends. I do hope to continue reaching out and giving support to teachers and letting them know that they are not alone. There are a lot of us out here. Some of us have chosen to leave. We've decided it's time, but it doesn't mean that you don't still have our support. So, as always, I hope the week ahead is a wonderful one, and enjoy your students. Thank you.